I make a lot of money selling data. Just figured out that if you are able to combine data and make information, a lot of people will pay a lot of money. What do you do?
Credit repair business funding,
Okay, cool.
arena, my BDR, as well as like in partner assistance. We're doing some things on our own together. This is something that, as a BPO, I know leads, clients will need leads.
And the whole system was designed to be white labels of white labels of white labels. What do I mean? Basically, you have the ability to build your own system, and then you have the ability to white label on a second tier other people's databases that you want to sell.
So you can open your own data store?
So you can remake any of these websites, right?
Yes.
It's just over and over again. White label it. We have two different payment gateways. You can use Authorize, Stripe. Do you use any of those?
Now, yeah, we're familiar with Stripe, but on your guys' site, as we were messing around, I got directed to something or seen something and went to it called Pineapple. It was actually, which I've assumed is somebody that you guys are affiliated with, because it's avocado.
It was pineapplepayments.com.
And I figured this was one of y'all sister company, Avocado Leads. And I'm thinking that's somebody who's white labeled under you guys.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
knockoff. That's funny. Right? So
Yep. And I told her, I said, this must be one of their companies that
that's
made.
actually
I see how much money you done made.
Hey, I mean, none of it's profit. I mean, I pay my expenses.
Right. I did. I'm $1 million, over $1 million in my BPO company, and ain't made a dime yet. You know, I did. But you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. It's gonna all come around circle, and you're gonna be that billionaire that you put all this time into.
I'm not going to go entirely through this right now. I just want to go through these quickly. So this is just different steps to set the website up. You can customize the colors, and we're going to be adding a lot more palettes, so you can have different degrees. You can update the company info, which is just, your business name, phone number. So right over here, right, you have all this stuff to customize, website customization. You have the ability to put links, like on our website, like you see the help button, or there's that big video on the checkout page. There's an override on all of them. With some fancy ChatGPT, you can easily redo it outside of the parameters we have. For instance, let's take a look at this one. Like, this isn't standard. Like that, it's like that. These buttons technically are not there, because in terms of saving time on development, it's a lot easier just to give you the ability to use ChatGPT, copy paste them, create some of those extra things. And we actually have ChatGPT directly integrated to do it for you, but I just haven't had time to put a model around it yet. So this isn't necessary, but once you get everything together at first, this is what it will look like in terms of styling. That's the standard. If you basically over type what you need to, maybe once you get some of the content in, I can customize it a bit. But I mean, this is this whole ChatGPT I did with this instead of getting development to do something instead of so yeah, that info you put on the contact info page ends up here, goes off to your backend under support requests. This is turning into a two-way communication system in the next couple of days. And what I mean by that, I don't mean chatbot. Right? Because if you're dealing with technical things, it's easier to have a nice little guide of someone's tech issues. And one other thing I'll mention is we'll handle these normal tech issues. So if you have an issue with somebody asking, how do I do a list? Why is this data not here? We're technically giving you white label tech support to solve those issues fast for you. The only issues we're not able to solve is anything in regards to marketing.
Now, would our clients have their own dashboard to do, or could
Yeah,
we
so this will be
literally give them will they let us know and we pull them a list, or how would you suggest?
So let me actually show you. Let me show you the front end. So this is what you're actually offering your clients. What you're doing in the back end that I was just showing you is you're building out your own system with your name on it, and then they subscribe to you directly. Then we don't exist other than to you when you make edits and changes. So let's say someone wants real estate agents, right? And maybe it's not here. You'll actually be able to go to other data providers that aren't. You're getting a white label of our system, and then you're able to use our system to subscribe to other data providers. And then that will have their different billing arrangements. That's kind of was the whole idea, that we're good at what we do. Give us any public record, whether it's from a court system, a divorce case, whatever. There's a name and address. I can always get you 90% of the time the up-to-date info. A lot of people we would turn away. The first question I ask when people ask for leads is, a lead is someone who's ready to pay me when I call them. So I really like aligned understanding what people perceive as a lead. And then I honestly think one of the reasons we have been able to grow like a company and not just like a hustler business, it because of that. Like, I mean, it's just abundantly honest. And then I just put it into business with risk that you have to calculate and what you're doing, telemarketing, cold calling, whatever it is that, and if you don't want that risk, there's people who sell appointments. And that's literally how it works. So when I talk about marketplace, this is exactly what it is I'm talking about. So within here, there'll be a tab. It opens up just like everything else in here. We'll have the ability in the next to literally upload any data they want. Why? Because every other white label can now network and you get to sell it.
Now, is any of the leads already opt-in, like solar leads or anything like that?
Quite, I wouldn't ever use the term opt-in because all the rules keep changing. So we were like refurbishing the age leads for a while. There's people who sell appointments, or there's people who sell age leads. But if you're worried about consent, I would always would like you like do appointments on if you're worried about the consent issue.
Well, it wouldn't be the phone numbers because you got to take the time to, make sure your phone numbers are compliant or whatever, or that people are opt in before you can even, start SMSing.
Well, that's what I mean. There's no such thing as an opt-in. Like if you're gonna SMS somebody or pick up a phone and call them, you're breaking TCPA no matter what.
Right. So you just emailing?
In terms of the only compliant way, emailing and direct mail, because the federal government owns it. Doing telemarketing and SMS, of course, because they bake that cost. That's what I try to tell everybody. It's like, yes, it's not the right thing to do, but people who do it basically, bake in whatever fines they might get at scale. So that's why I'm always like, I always want to make people aware when they're buying data, like I'm not because that's the honest truth. That it's definitely against the rules, but if you're a smaller shop, I mean, not doing over 25 million a year, I couldn't directly tell you that. But honestly, no. And that's actually why you can't scale it really doing something technically illegal. But if you're providing a marketplace for thousands of people to make a living, then that risk I would definitely argue is much lower because you're your LLC, you're not South Florida call center that does 100 million in sales a year. Like you own a home, someone contribute, you're liable if it's yours, if it's the county sidewalk. But in terms of you selling the service, that you tell someone, yeah, you can telemarket. Of course, a lot of bad things have to happen. Like they have to get, and then that guy would actually have to sue you if you taught him how to tell them. It's constant balancing acts. Like if you want to make your client's life easier and put them almost like in a box instead of giving them all the free reign, you have the ability to make custom lists. If someone says, I only want barbers, on their custom list, you'll see all these lists. I built like 100 yesterday. And all it is the database and how many pieces of data are in a particular set of filters. So right here, we filtered these industry codes. All these industry codes pertain to textile and fabric finishing and fabric coating manufacturers. You have the ability to do this as well as control, which actually let control what data. You see here, we have those few switches and they correlate. So yeah, they correlate directly to those few phones. See, we have those pulse code state, and before you they have the ability to remove or phone. If someone started asking, hey, can I get a bunch of companies in manufacturing that have greater than 20? Well, now you have the ability to A, give them a list pre-built through custom lists, B, give them the pre-built list, and then basically you can be very accommodating and with very little effort, you're going a very long way just to customize it for them. So instead of them trying to do it themselves and messaging you, what the heck, these leads suck, I'm contacting 90-year-olds, you can pre-build. For instance, we pre-built a barber list. So right now it's a mailing list. And then there's the additional ability to filter off of age, zip code, and state. So if we go over to that, Chris is in here, I would say a lot of these issues we ended up deploying and figuring out how to use because I knew there would be issues. Over the last couple of months, people have actually been using it, and we're noticing the insistent questions that people would have that were repeated and not really high level. This is the way to help any clients that are not.
What would you compare this with, like Apollo?
And that was always the idea. I mean, that was the whole business model. It was like, wow, barbers, and you probably want to filter out anyone that has an age over 75. So instead of them trying to do it themselves and messaging you, what the heck, these leads suck, I'm contacting 90-year-olds, you can pre-build them. So for instance, we pre-built a barber list, and then we give them the flexibility to only filter based off of that pre-filled list. So right now it's a mailing list, and then there's the additional ability to filter off of age, zip code, and state. So if we go over to the back end here, there's Rocket Reach. The most recent one is Constant Contact, right? They will do the same thing. and every VC is around the corner from each other. They really don't do anything different. So that was kind of the idea. It was like, well,
Sharina, you have any questions?
Not for me, Tina.
Girl, you should ask a question. I can literally just have somebody contact me and they need a list of 2,000 numbers and emails, and I can literally just go in, get what they want, collect their fee, get what they need, and just send them the list. Or I can give them access to the dash, and they can do their own searching up to a certain, which I'm sure we have a thing where we can put a limit on.
so the way it works is, so you can build these packages, right? So you can control how many contacts they get. Is the
Okay.
package currently offered to the masses? Okay. So, so you have all these different databases and you can control the price and the distribution. We're going to add another feature where you can also upcharge for the list limit. You have full control over this. The way that how we charge you works is you can sell this for anything as long as each lead is worth more than 1.5 pennies. So if you want to sell 100 for or 1,000 for $15, 100,000 for 20 cents, you can do that. What we do is we invoice you weekly 30% of all the things you sold, and you have the ability to control these different databases. So we don't charge you anything up front. We just have a requirement that you can't sell for any credit for less than 1.5 pennies, and everything you sell at the end of the week we'll send you an invoice that's 30% of what you sold. Pay it by Monday, and then your system is still turned on. You can keep selling to new people. Basically, we basically made it like an eBay, Amazon model where it's free to get started for free. We're taking a 30% fee on that,
You get
and
30 or we get 30 of the.
we get that. You get 7. You take 100%, right? So the payment's going directly to you. We don't take a payment. Then in your little dashboard that's coming out the next day or two, there'll be a whole billing system showing every single transaction you did, how much money it made, all those different things. And then at the end of, let's say you sold $10,000, we would send you an invoice for $3,000. So if you made 10,000, you have to pay us 3,000 because
Right.
the transaction fee was 30%. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you're not automated, I mean, we're gonna basically, you want to automate the payment. We'll offer discounts on the amount. So if we can, obviously, if there's a pattern and it seems like it's fraud and we're being scammed, we have obviously there's AI to pick up on pattern recognition. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. You have a client that's upset, hit refund. We deduct the fee that we took from you.
And list is basically is there business phone numbers or just the cell phones, or are we dealing with all the contacts?
So let's go navigate over here. So every piece of business info and homeowner info has been enriched to our core consumer data. So we have like a stockpile of them above the age of 18. Some of them might be dead, unfortunately, but we don't have that info. So that's why I automatically filtered out people under the age of 75, 80, just to get, because then you have less pushback from clients sometimes with unnecessary questions. You have the ability to make sure every single contact has an email, cell phone, or both. So basically, I call it a mailing list when these aren't selected because everyone has a mailing address. This info here comes from the SBA because these people took a loan, and we used this information because they stated, granted, people lied, but now we end up skip tracing it to the Secretary of State so we can find all the business owners or people that could be a business owner. And then we further enrich all of that to personal info. So in this instance, we have an email, but we don't have a cell phone, no cell phone. So if we go off and hit this mobile required switch, we'll remove anything that has an NA in the column for wireless 1. We do include a few wireless. The most up-to-date one is always going to be wireless 1. We include the other phone numbers because some people like to use it for matching on Facebook or Google for targeted audience marketing. All right, so we removed about 1 million contacts. So there's 1 million contacts that do not have a cell phone. And you might notice the addresses might be a little different. That's because this is the person's mailing address. And the only time you'll see, let's say 386, 385, 384. So let's see what we got here. There's 384 because they've registered the business when they were at the home because they were obviously a startup. Then these are business addresses. So these are the addresses where the actual business is located. And one other thing about the business data is these companies had to be making money in order to get an SBA loan during COVID. These companies are all still in business. So I would say these are probably the top 10, 20% of companies with revenue coming in because you won't really find 1099s in here. Because if you got, you know what I'm saying, if you got 30 employees, 164 employees, you've got some revenue. So this is another good indicator for size of the business. If someone's just looking for higher revenue producing companies, just put over 25 employees, you're probably talking over a couple $1 million for a business. And then this is part of the reason for making the custom list because your client might not think about this, right? But you can go off and be like, oh no, don't worry, we have high earners. So right over here, you have the various databases. You see there is solar and insurance, but right here, high income earners, right? So we'll just say anyone with over 25 employees. Or want to be really, safe, we'll just say over 30 employees. So when we hit get search, there is a grand total of 307,000 businesses that have a 30 W-2s or greater. Passive, leave the age at 18, I'm sorry, at 80, and I'll raise it to 22 just to factor out any mismatched data basically because we're not 100%. There's definitely things that link to their 21-year-old son saying they run a Fortune 500 company sometimes. So knowing that is the case, just making people aware of it or taking care of that situation for them in advance. One of the easiest ways to navigate a lot of this. So there's 262,000. And I'll also mention this removes anyone that doesn't have an age. I found it actually is sometimes better if your customers start complaining that they're reaching a lot of people who aren't living anymore, which is possible. If you don't filter it out, they're going to pull 100-year-olds. You know what I mean? It goes up to 106. And it's a whole nother database we have to create to run against death linkers, and that changes every day. So and when I hit save a list, what if they have an issue? Say, hey, I see a mailing list. Well, how do I get an email list? Well, let's say one of you on the computer. Oh, no worries, Cheryl. Just like this, let me go take some special time out of my day and go off and make an email list just for you. So go off, hit that check button, get count, create list, and now Cheryl's real happy because there's a custom list that you just went out of your way to make for her.
So we got the company name, but not the company phone number, though.
We don't. We give you the direct cell phone and landline to the owner or person in charge. So we take that to the business phone number, and we skip trace that to find the owner's personal. So everything we give you is a cell phone directly to the owner. If you flip that switch.
Sharina, any questions?
Is everything can be integrated to a CRM so we can import it to our CRM, or can we download it via CSV?
You guys are with Go High Level, right? Integrate with them.
We do right here. But what I've noticed is if people are trying to put like a list of 8,000 people, Go High Level will start blocking our system from pushing into your system. So what we've been noticing is people have been reaching out to Go High Level specifically to basically be like, hey, how do I put more data in here faster? Quite honestly, the CSV I think is the faster solution right now. Because if I hit import, I'll probably get like 10 of them because Go High Level recognizes it as like a DDoS attack. So they block it. It's sending too much info to them at once. Problem we really haven't investigated too much because it's out of our hands entirely. So it's not
right.
Because like they charge you for webhooks now. That's exactly why they want to charge you for the webhooks into the system.
So with the webhooks, this would, I'm kind of ignorant on all that, but with webhooks, this would integrate better.
I mean, it's the same thing. The only thing is they're going to charge you a lot. That's the thing. Like every row of data is another webhook. So if someone's importing 1,000 rows of data, that's 1,000 API calls to Go High Level, which they want to charge you for now. But if you were to download the list and upload it, it's the same thing and they don't charge it. So, I mean, this is just literally a real-time issue we're seeing over the last few months because, if you ever notice when your Go High Level goes very slow, this is the exact reason why. This type of, not us directly, but one other thing I'll say, we're adding Google Sheets too. So, because some people thought of a bypass by using Google Sheets with their Zapier, so the data goes out that way, and then they were going to hook it up. I've seen a lot of people do it that way. I've never done it specifically that way because Zapier used to be a lot of money for me, and that's why I started doing a lot of development. Are you in the school community yet?
No.
Because every little thing that's important I put there. That's like the one corral area. I mean, there's Reddit too, but
Okay.
school I would definitely say is the most consolidated with people and people asking each other questions and answering them. So community based, really. And there's a lot of videos, guides, and whenever we have these webinars, we put it there. There's like a whole
And do
announcement.
you have any examples? Sharina, can you grab that baby? Do you have any examples of pay structures or what would be a good pay structure to do?
Yeah, let me show you some of these.
Just running in some business.
But yeah, he did the same exact thing. So when he clicks this button, it now brings to the specific plan. It is going to make them sign in first, which is important because that has, for us personally, over the 3 years of doing this, we basically dropped the fraudulent credit cards by 90% or more because whenever they want to put a payment link in, then they have to actually verify a business email to do the final payment part. So right here, this person has 5 cents each. And this is where we started it with, actually. We were selling 3.5 years ago when we were giving Go High Level out at no cost. And if you guys already use Go High Level, so you can obviously just integrate this into an iframe. So now your users, if they're logging into their system, can just go into here and not leave the system. So you have the ability for every single lead that you generate to end up in your Go High Level. We just added that actually. So every single lead that makes an account, you'll have like the tag sign up, payment failed.
And those are good to call because they don't fill out your stuff.
Oh yeah, these are the, I literally send 5,000 emails a day to these 5,000 people because they're all opted in. And if you're able to have someone do email marketing and convert into opted in leads, you basically solve the problem, right? In the most compliant way. Doing cold email, there are some weird rules, but they're nothing like TCPA.
Right.
And you can turn them into a lead. So, I mean, once you do an email, I would never know how to set this up again, right? I've never gotten email marketing to work once in my life until right now. And now I get 100%, 99% deliverability. But still, it's
yeah, it's just so confusing. It's so stupid. But I get it, you know, especially all the scamming.
But then we had a guy that was sending us customers that we didn't want to work with, right? Because they wanted to spend $49 a month or $99 a month. And historically proven, those are the guys that do chargebacks.
Right.
But this other gentleman wanted to do business with them because he does training with them. So he ended up setting up his own white label. This is his white label right here, WLleads.com. And he actually signed up a client that we didn't want to work with ourselves anymore. So basically he signed, instead of signing up through us, he signed up through this person's white label instead and pays them. But yeah, he did nothing with his thing. He's already gotten sales, and he hasn't really done anything.
Well, I guess I'll look on YouTube and just get some ideas of marketing or what someone's done.
Yeah, let me give you this playlist, how to set up the white label. So there's one thing you're going to run into that's going to be a headache. So Stripe now requires that you submit PCI compliance stuff. Well, I built a little AI system to do it for you. So you just have to end up signing it and sending it to Stripe.
Okay.
They've been up getting it approved, and a day later.
Well, I wish you figure out how to just solve it so I can email and SMS people.
That will never be solved at this point. You want to know the real reason why it happened? The FCC at the end of 2022 sent a criminal referral letter to Twilio with the DOJ because they knew about their biggest clients committing mortgage fraud because they knew about it. So that's why within less than 6 months, texting did what it did with A2P. And then the double whammy, which I was not even prepared for, I don't think many people were, was the new FCC changes that then tackled the telemarketing aspect. So I think
it's gonna be shut down.
Appointments are the only solution. Like we talked about risk management, like you're like in terms of insurance providers, right? We had really big insurance firms paying us a lot of money the first few years. But then as these rules started coming out, because the individual agents had a lot of free reign with what they wanted to do because they were individual businesses. They weren't just massive billion-dollar health insurance companies. Politics of it, they're not that type of politics. But government was telling basically these big companies, okay, if you do not get compliant
in this sector, we're going to start looking into all the Medicare stuff you do that's not compliant. Literally, they blackmailed them. And it was a top-down approach, telling all the agents they can't do that anymore. And if they do, they can't sell that carrier anymore. So I've been trying to figure this out for 2 years, and the only thing I keep landing back on is appointments, because solar is big on appointment sales, right? It's mass, but it's trackable, and because it was so scam filled, like there's a lot of processes regular businesses put in place to validate it. So no one really talks about setting insurance appointments and selling them. I never really hear that, but that it would be one of the only solutions to the whole full solution to the telemarketing and TCPA stuff. Well, that's why we have a marketplace, because, for instance, Alex, who's in here, he generates solar appointments, and we're using him to put them on the marketplace for solar specifically, because Chris works directly for me, director of all the sales. We turn our basics because we're not going to go out of our way to buy something that we know. Like the reason why I don't pay it down to the data provider. We are the data aggregator from the start. So, but yeah, so the whole idea is, if Gina wants to take the risk of generating appointments because it's worth $170, and a live transfer or an inbound lead or an age lead is worth 50 cents, $1, $10. So that's a whole business right there to start.
Well, we got to talk about that. I'm gonna come up with some type of I'm gonna come up with something and talk to you about that.
No, definitely. And I don't know the answer. That's the thing. I just have theories, and I've just seen a lot of people do things like Alex is in here. I would say he's 2 out of 10 people. 20% of the solar guys that I knew 3 years ago aren't around anymore. I don't know what they do. So some people really figured it out, which is good. Network of information.
That's right. Now, what would be your solution with this system if someone needed?
It doesn't exist at this exact second. We do have a directory of 35 million businesses to the listed number on Google. It's not really reachable, that number, 9 times out of 10. I mean, that's the only and people were complaining to us, so that's why we really stopped posting it. But over the next couple months, when we start having the different marketplace items, we'll add that. You can add that to it.
And are the list is only for owners? What if you need to speak to?
In about a couple months, we have basically a database of 500 million employees, and then there's probably 70 million that are located in America that actually have all the info you're directly asking for. We just haven't had a chance to put it online yet, because basically we've been deploying things as people said, I want to pay you for it. And that's kind of why we made the white label free, because we got it all put together, and we're like, okay, we don't have the resources to market it because there's just me and Chris.
Right.
So this was the solution to it. This business only exists because of Go High Level, not the software, but the business model. Because I didn't have to build the Go High Level. I was able to build this as an alternative.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, definitely. The info at Data to Lead goes to everybody.
That would be you and Chris, right, that answer those.
Yeah, and I mean, there's even other people like my partner. Just basically, all eyes are on it. So if there's an issue, someone can go contact one of us to do.
But if I come up with one of my brilliant ideas and I need to speak to you, they can get you to me to you, right? Or you?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm a brilliant brain. I'm going to think of something.
well, quite frankly, I mean, now like we have all these tools and resources that work. We only have so much capacity. So like, there's people coming to us that have all different databases. And Chris is the witness here that we're like, okay, we have to prioritize them. So if you have different pieces that you know could work, we already have the sources of all the data. It's just, getting them in the right order of what can be monetized the fastest, instead of unnecessary waste on bringing stuff in that people aren't going to buy yet at the time.
Right.
Yeah, this is my 4th project. First 3 failed because we were developing stuff that people didn't need at the time. So, this one,
you'll get it. You'll get it. You got it, and you go first. So you'll be good.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, sweetheart. We'll be, like I said, trying to see what we can do. I'm gonna watch some videos and, like I said, be hitting you up one of these days soon.
Definitely, Gina. I appreciate it. Anything you need, let me know. Make sure you go join that school community, because there's a lot of people that help each other from there with ideas.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that as well. You got those 50 cent, Sharina?
Yes, I did, Gina.
All right, honey. Thank you. All right, Brian. Well, it's been real, my brother, and I thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Gina. Talk real soon.
Thank you, Brian.
No, you're definitely welcome, Sharina.
Till next time. Bye, Alex.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.